Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage. Trying to pull up my chat here. There we go. So this is a SoG, a state of gaming, and we're gonna we're gonna chat about RedFall mostly, and we're also gonna chat a little bit about a short update on how Jedi Survivor is doing, and just kind of the overall state of the industry. And I'm gonna go over from Xbox Spencer's interview too. So I've taken some time to watch that, to watch some commentary of what other streamers have had or other channels have had. But first, like and sub and all that jazz. Follow all those fancy words. If you're enjoying the content of this channel is primarily just to kind of open up the shell of what the gaming industry is today and to where it used to be, and to kind of show the changes, to show the differences, and to show them as they're happening in the gaming industry. So we have some retro looks at games. We have new looks at some reviews, when I have the money and I can get my hands on them. We talk about current news. We also do a monthly news overview of the gaming industry, anything to do with the companies, games, reviews, anything whatsoever. We also sprinkle some economic data in there sometimes because, economics affects everybody right now. And then we also have there's a game I'm always playing co-op with a buddy, with Lion. And we're going through Dark Souls 1 right now. We'll go through 2 and 3 later. We just beat Elden Ring. So fun. Loved that game. And then I also have a campaign that I'm doing by myself. Just finished Dead Space Remake. So wonderful. There are some glitches in there, which is kind of a bummer, but really great game for Motive. And then we're going to do Atomic Heart next. So that should be hopefully coming soon. But anyway, let's get to RedFall. So RedFall is made by Respawn Austin in Austin, Texas. And, they've had their hands and fingers in some other games. They were part of Call of Duty a little bit for some of those. And RedFall was showcased as like a zombie slayer. I'm sure most people have taken a look at it by now. But yeah, kind of a zombie slayer. And you're in this small town of RedFall, and not a zombie slayer. Well, it's kind of like a zombie slayer, but vampires have taken over and they're infesting the city, and you're wiping them out. So you have really base level. You have some other ones that are bigger, or some like mini bosses like rooks, and then you also have like the gods, the god vampires that you can kill. Once you get through a nest and all that. So Redfall was supposed to be a really great game. We've known about it for a while. It's been in development. It was also delayed. It was supposed to come out last year or earlier. I think it was last year, and then it was like January, February. No, and then they kind of delayed it again, and now it's been finally out on March. And it has been absolutely a disaster for Xbox. People are not happy. This is, of course, one of the exclusives that Xbox has, and their exclusives have not been good lately. Halo Infinite was a huge flop. And then, this one hasn't been good either. And the launch was rough too, of course, for the Series X. It's been hard to find one. I think that they should have just totally scrapped the cheaper, no disk drive version and just shoved all of their parts into making $500 Series X's. That way people could actually get their hands on them, because most people that get a Series S want to upgrade anyway. Yeah, I've heard it's great if you want an emulator. But yeah, they've just made some bad calls lately, and I really think it's starting to catch up with them. And so Redfall is buggy. It's boring. The level design is not good. You're not well rewarded for taking out the god vampires in the nests. People are having other bug issues. The AI that controls the vampires are stupid. The animations are not smooth. How they start and how they end, it's not a smooth transition. the game too has other issues, like you can flush toilets and turn sinks on in the game, but some of the other more basic stuff, like the user interface and then yeah, the AI for the vampires is not good at all. Review wise, people are absolutely hating it. So PC, of course, still has the worst score. They're having other issues too. This game was also locked at 30 frames per second on console, and 60 frames on PC. But people also cannot get 60 frames on PC. They're getting around 40, 45, maybe 48. So they can't even get to 50. And they've also had a bad, PCers. I feel bad for them. They had a bad experience with Elden Ring when that first launched last year. They had a bad experience with Jedi Survivor, which should not have even been put out on PC when it was. It was so horrible. And then PCers are now having trouble and issues and just hate it on hate Redfall too. And so yeah, I feel bad for you PCers out there. I hope things get better. But it's unlikely because everything's kind of made for console now. So yeah, Redfall is doing very, very bad. Most people on the Xbox store are giving it a 2 out of 5. The people that are giving it 1s and 2s are saying things like the graphics are really bad, there's glitches, choppy animations, all of this stuff we've already talked about. Things are boring. Some of the missions are pretty dumb where you have to run over, go look for something, grab it, bring it back, just so you can go back again to activate something so you can teleport back to your hub for a second time and then go run out and actually finish the mission. Like, it's so back and forth and just windy and grindy it's like they were just trying to fill content or put, time for you in the game so you could keep playing, but it feels like a waste of time. A lot of the side quests aren't fun, and if you really want legendary loot and weapons, you have to go after the rooks instead. And you don't really figure that out until later in the game. So yeah, this game is not designed well, it's not built well, and I even got a piss on Game Ranks and IGN some. I watched IGN's review. They had somebody that was super into vampire stuff. He even said that on his review and just said, but he made it sound better than it really is. Clearly they shouldn't have had somebody that's a huge vampire fan play the vampire game. You know what I mean? And so yeah, what a bummer. Kind of bummed about that for Game Ranks. Because usually they're pretty good. And then also IGN, they showcased some gameplay and around a week or 2 weeks before launch in April, and it was just really bad. The person's gameplay was just boring. He didn't seem to know how to use anything. He or she, whatever, it didn't know how to use stuff in the game. So, some of the features too that characters have in Redfall, they're only really useful if you're playing with other people. And then too, Redfall also requires a connection all the time, even if you're playing solo. So some people have had issues with that as well. They disconnect while they're playing solo, and they got to reboot it, start it up again. And I've heard multiplayer on Redfall is really unstable. People have multiple crashes within an hour, and people too are also having issues with saving their progress. So in Elden Ring, if you win in someone else's game and helped them out, you could actually get rewarded for souls, right? And you would keep those souls when you'd go back to your world or your game, and then you could spend them and level up and stuff. It's a great mechanic. In Redfall, you don't keep anything. You don't keep your experience. You're not keeping your really weapons or gear. I guess if you upgrade something, you do get to keep that. So I'll just go over that real quick. But yeah, I'm seeing the reviews in the Xbox Game Store that you were not able to save your progress and experience and stuff like that in Redfall when you're in someone else's game helping them out. And multiplayer is super unstable. So it's just, there's nothing good to report about for Redfall. And this is going to be a huge loss, I think, for Xbox. I feel bad too, because looking at the reviews, there's over 5,000 people that bought the Super COVID edition, and that was $100. 5,000 people on Xbox in the U.S. bought the Super COVID edition, and I hope they get their money back. I really do. So let's talk into the interview that Spencer gave from Xbox. So first off, he took full responsibility that this game is bad. It was not at the quality that he was wanting, and he takes full responsibility, being the head of Xbox, for the game not launching and being like it should be. He understands too that there's problems and issues. He knows that this was a multiplayer game for Austin. They also did the Dishonored series, which was single player, and those are great. But again, we have another studio that tried a multiplayer game, and it just didn't go good. The other one was Bethesda with Fallout 76. And, Fallout 76, I got that one at launch, and ugh, folks, that was just so brutal. In 2 years, they had it all fixed. Kind of like a Cyberpunk 2077 thing. But, and they changed a lot of things that they said they wouldn't change, but they did anyway. Because ultimately, consumers, if we're in mass and demanding something, we're going to flip and get it because we control the cash flow. We are the reason the gaming companies exist, and we need to remember that. And so Spencer took full responsibility. He is okay with studios trying something new or trying different genres. He's not wanting them to stay stuck on the same assembly line of making and designing the same thing over and over and over again. He thinks it quells creativity and things like that, and also doesn't allow branching out of skills, which he really wants a lot of his studios to be well-rounded as much as they can, and to continue to branch out and get better so they can make better games. So he's really wanting to learn from this one. He realized too it's a mistake that he admitted in the interview. Xbox was just kind of hands off. They were just letting Respawn Austin do their thing, and this is what we got. And things were not looked at early enough. And I even think that's kind of maybe what the delay was for Redfall in the first place. It's just like, hey, this is going to need some more time. Let's polish this up as much as we can in the time we have left, and we got what we got. And so it still wasn't anywhere near ready. In my opinion, it needed at least another 12 months. Probably more. I don't know. If it was getting that bad and we were a year away, I probably would have delayed it another year right there. I'd be like, okay, we have 2 years. We're going to scrap some of this stuff and start over. And we really want to make a good game and kind of go back over the drawing board of what we're shooting for. But yeah, Spencer owned up to it, which is great. He's taken responsibility. He did say they are wanting to continue to work on it and fix it, which is good. But yeah, Deadfall is dead on arrival. I'll put it that way. So yeah, Redfall is dead on arrival. I really think this game is going to be brutal. Too many people got burned at the beginning that paid for it. We had about 1,000 or so reviews of the standard edition and 5,000 plus on the Super COVID edition. And yeah, I just think too many people have gotten burned, and it's all over the internet everywhere. And so yeah, no one. I don't think anyone's going to buy this. People probably will play it on Xbox Game Pass. You can try it out if you have that. But two, I don't think that's an excuse for putting out a crappy game. And something I see with Xbox Game Pass is that if the game isn't going to be as great, or it's not as big, or it is probably expected to have some bigger bugs, or whatever, it goes on Xbox Game Pass. And I'll get into this a little bit, but not too far, where I really think Xbox Game Pass in the future is going to be the dump ground for a lot of crappy games or mediocre stuff. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, it can help out indie developers. They can at least get some cash right away and make a deal with Xbox for it to go on Xbox Game Pass. But I would really think that the price that you pay ultimately for the pass, that stuff should be quality content. And it shouldn't just be a whole bunch of old stuff either. So hopefully with time, it will continue to get better. But I took some time to look at the full list on Game Pass. And there is a lot of just mediocre, trash, no one would ever buy it type of stuff. It's quite full. There's really good ones too. All of the Mass Effect series. A ton of Call of Duties, the old ones. There's a ton of, oh shoot. All the Gears of War is on there. There was some of the Splinter Cells. Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie. There were those ones. So a lot of the good classics that are on there, which would save you money if you would just want to play some. And yeah, there's some newer ones too, like Wulong Fallen Dynasty. Didn't, I think, go that well, and so the studio... It was a fun game. I enjoyed it. It's the same people that played Nioh, which is spelled Nioh. But yeah, Fallen Dynasty's on there. And we're gonna... And High on Life is another one. And now Redfall. But the problem is, like, when it is put on there at launch, that really kind of... I've seen the trend that if a game goes on there at launch, the game cannot stand on its own 2 feet. It needs a crutch to help get some playership, some feedback for people to engage with it, and for them to make a little bit of money with Xbox for being on Game Pass with the deal. And I really think that's kind of a telltale sign that we can see in the future going forward, is like we can kind of just see if it's a bellwether, if it's going to be going on there. Because if you're a studio and you know you have a great product, you're not going to have it be on Game Pass and give up some of your opportunity for cash flow when you can just sell the game yourself. But if your game isn't that great, or isn't going to get a lot of publicity, or you're kind of a smaller studio, Game Pass is a great option. But again, this is why I haven't bought in Game Pass, is because they control what games stay on there. Like, they took off RedFall, which I think is a fun one. And they've taken off some other ones too that I think are pretty good, but like they can't make it infinitely big, right? It's just like their backwards compatibility list. They're not going to expand that anymore. It is what it is, and you know, that's kind of a bummer too. But anyway, so the fact that Redfall was on day one, I don't think was a good sign. I saw the gameplay from IGN. I saw the initial trailer, and yeah, I had my doubts about Redfall, but man, this is way worse than what I was anticipating. Like, this is bad. Redfall is horrible. And I don't think... Spencer said, too, that he didn't anticipate Respawn Austin to, like, disintegrate or get merged in with some other studio, but I can guarantee you that the pressure is now on for Starfield. Really, it's on. And he even said that in an interview too with some Starfield. It's just like, yep, we're looking into Starfield. We've had our hands in it earlier for like the last year, couple of years. And so they really want this to be good, which I'm thankful for that. But now I also have more reservations than I already did about Starfield. And Starfield, it has to be great if Xbox is going to survive. So Xbox has already seen a pretty good decrease in hardware sales. And yeah, Starfield has to be good. And if their exclusives aren't really that good, some people are going to go to PlayStation. And some, I've even seen in the reviews already, some people are like, yep, I'm going to PlayStation. And I've seen it in some of the comments too on channels that folks are done with Xbox because Redfall was so flippin' bad. And Halo Infinite wasn't good, and there just hasn't been that many good exclusives lately. And there's been better ones on PlayStation, and so they're shifting. I would say, too, that also some have kind of shifted more toward Nintendo with the Twitch. I mean, you got Legend of Zelda, and you got Mario stuff, and the next Mario Party, and Pokemon, and the old Pokemon Scarlet, which we looked at, was just hilariously bad. Talked a little review on that one. But, yeah, I think Spencer understands that his job is maybe a little more in jeopardy than it used to be, and that they've been the king of the hill for a while, and that they really kind of need to start stepping it up and showing why people love Xbox. And the studios need to step it up too. And I think the amount of layoffs, we've had like 30% of the entire studio at 343 that does Halo, 30% have been laid off. And I think that's kind of the repercussions of, like, you guys as a studio suck. You guys are not making games that people want to buy. And so, bye-bye. Performance reviews, and they're getting rid of folks. And we got this recession too. And this is the time now, folks, to really hit the pocketbook with these companies, is they have to make money. We've seen this from Ubisoft last year. We've seen some stuff through Square Enix. And we've seen some stuff with EA, like EA didn't pay FIFA $1 billion to use the FIFA name for their next soccer game. They now have Electronic Arts Football Club for their next soccer game. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But so yeah, companies are trying to save money. They're still having layoffs. And now's the time during this recession and downturn of economic growth to really hit the companies and kind of have that extra, power and influence of your vote of buying a game or not. And yeah, don't settle, folks. If you really enjoy a game, enjoy the game. But yeah, this is getting to a point where we've just had so many games post-COVID be garbage. And they're AAA, and they don't feel AAA. Glitches, they're not ready. The quality has gone worse. Even talking about, like, Modern Warfare Remake and Modern Warfare 2 Remake, the amount of glitches and bugs that I've seen in cutscenes, and even issues that I've seen in the game sometimes. Like, I had one mission on Modern Warfare 2 where the lens flare from lights outside were coming through the wall of a building, and I couldn't even barely see my game, what I was doing. Like, that was insane. I don't even think that one's on the channel, which is a bummer. But if you are interested what's on my YouTube channel, go check it out at Gaming Garbage 22. Easier to find now that it's slowly kind of ramping up a little bit in subscribers. And I make shorts too. They're kind of fun. But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on Jedi Survivor. Jedi Survivor seems to be doing pretty good on PlayStation and Xbox. There's still some crashes. There's still some bugs. There's still issues with cutscenes. Things aren't refined as probably as they should be with a AAA game. But something to be said, too, for Jedi Survivor. I think people are waiting. So, taking a look at reviews, to give you an idea of a really good game that's been out for a year, it has almost 20,000 reviews. Actually, yeah. It has 20,000 reviews from... excuse me while I fix my headset here. 20,000 reviews on the Xbox store between the two editions. That is incredible. That is so many. Usually if a game does really good, there's a few thousand, right? But I think Elden Ring was just such a shock in the right direction on how good it was. The whole game fit on the disc, besides the arena mode. And some of the patches that they did. But yeah, the whole game fit on the disc. The content is so big, it's literally, a minimum 100 hours of playing and enjoying and exploring stuff. And, I mean, it is, and it won Game of the Year for a reason. But yeah, 20,000 reviews on the game store is just insane. I then looked at, since it's been out for a while, Hogwarts Legacy, and that has about 9,000 reviews between the two editions. So half of the reviews are the people that wanted to play 3 days early, and the other half of the reviews are the people that were willing to wait at launch. So, but yeah, 9,000, that is still an excellent, superb number. Unbelievable. It's amazing. But we look at, and even looking at Jedi Fallen Order, there's about 5,000 there, which between the editions, that's a lot. That's a good chunk. You haven't seen on Redfall, there's over 5,000 for the two different editions on that one. And I know, Fallen Order has been out for a while. I understand that, but like, the community knows, Star Wars Fallen Order, and knew that Star Wars Jedi Survivor was coming out. Like, they knew that was coming. And you look at the reviews of Jedi Survivor, and there's only 1,500 between the two editions. Well over the majority, there's 1,200 that got the Super COVID edition, and then there's about 300 that got the standard. Excuse me. And so, let me get some water here. And so I think people are waiting on Jedi Survivor, because there was so much bad publicity, so many issues, and the PCers really pushed out and were like, hey, this game is not working on PC. There were some people that played it on Xbox as well, like Born to Game, that also was having issues and glitches the further he went into the game. I'm excited for my buddy to finish it on PlayStation 5 to see what he thinks about it. So far, he said it's actually been pretty good on PlayStation 5. There are some issues with cutscenes. But, yeah, I think the bulk of people are waiting. Because you would think, there'd be a few thousand wanting to buy Jedi Survivor. I looked at Callisto Protocol. Callisto Protocol has about the same number as Jedi Survivor right now. Callisto's been out since, November of last year? So it's been out about half a year. I also looked at Dead Island 2. There's thousands of reviews for that one. And so a lot more people on Xbox probably bought Dead Island 2 over Jedi Survivor. And I think people are just waiting for the bugs to be fixed. Waiting until it's worth it. And the reviews for Dead Island 2 are pretty good. I do think it's dumb that one thing people probably haven't figured out yet is toward the end of the game, Dead Island 2, real quick here, has it to where the bulk of the quests for legendaries is at the end of the game. And so you really only have side quests to kind of enjoy your new weapons. And there is no New Game Plus, so you can't transfer those legendaries to play through again, and there's no way to really get them earlier. It's just toward the end of the game. So I think the developers there really missed something. And I think New Game Plus kind of needs to be a staple in games, especially campaign-style games. Because if they want more people to play the game, if they want people to have more of a fun experience or kind of have a more unique experience, legendaries are a great way to kind of do that. So you kind of feel like you've worked for it, and you kind of now feel like God as you're ripping through the streets and stuff, and that can be really fun. But if you don't really allow people to experience that, you're just missing an opportunity on one of the facets that makes games great. And so I think New Game Plus really kind of needs to be a staple for campaign games, is have some type of incentive for you to come back and play. Not like freaking Resident Evil 4 remake, where they waited a few weeks and they're like, oh, now you can buy these upgrades for your guns as a microtransaction. Are you kidding me? The game was great. It was pretty good. A lot of people enjoyed it. And then again, after it had been out for a few weeks and the reviews are out, then they implemented a store where you can buy, upgrades for your guns to give you an advantage And it's not like it's a multiplayer, but that's not my point. The point is they are, the microtransaction focus is to give you less to make the game easier or make you progress faster or even give you an advantage over other players, like what we're seeing in DMZ right now on Call of Duty. Is we're seeing this kind of cheap content push, and I really wish that would go away. But we have to vote that way. We have to wait and hold on, just like with Jedi Survivor, and with Deadfall being dead on arrival. We gotta vote with our money, folks, because everybody has a limit on how many times they can be screwed before they're just not willing to burn their money anymore. And yeah, and Starfield's got to be amazing. If it ain't amazing, that's going to be a really big problem for Bethesda and a really big problem for Xbox. So, anyway, with that, folks, that's all I got for you. I just wanted to talk about Redfall, Jedi Survivor update a little bit on how it's doing, and then the pressure that is now on Starfield to perform. If you're enjoying the content, go ahead and give me a like and follow and all that. I'm also on YouTube. Go ahead and follow me there at GamingGarbage22. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, there is you click on the About tab on the channel, and you'll see that there's a link right there to my Twitch if you want to follow me there and try to do it live. I don't do things... I'm not very good at watching the stream, the chat, because I'm trying to survive in the game, and I can't really have split attention. It's super hard for me. But yeah, I do the best that I can. So anyway, and then yeah, there's plenty of content on YouTube to look at, and that content library is going to continue to grow as I continue to further this channel. So there's gaming news once a month. There's Dead Space remake campaign. Atomic Heart is going to be growing soon for that campaign. We've got a buddy and I going through Dark Souls. I almost said Dead Souls. Dark Souls 1. And we're going through that together as a campaign. That's been fun. And then we also have these, which is SoG, the State of Gaming. And State of Gaming is where I really just kind of talk about some stuff in the industry. And yeah, that's actually a huge part of this channel, is to show how great games were for us older 20s and 30-year-olds. And I just think kids today, or people that are just becoming legal adults, they don't know what they're missing with how games were back then to what games are today. And I just want to share that. And I would love for games to improve, the industry to improve again. I'd like to see real content, real DLC of where there's missions and maps. And but yeah, this whole character, skins on your gun, perks for the piece of pants and sandals you bought. Like, I want that stuff to go away, and I want real content again. And I want to get to a point too where the games aren't buggy. I want them like Elden Ring. I know I use that game as an example a lot on this channel, but it's because it is so flippin' great of an example of how to make a game. A game. Again, the whole game fits on the disc. 2, the game worked, except for on PC, which they still had to wait 2 or 3 weeks after that to get fixed. But on console, it worked really good. There was a multiplayer problem that they fixed in less than 48 hours. From Software did a really good job. The amount of size of the map, content, places, there's like 160 plus bosses in the game. I mean, and then New Game Plus, and even when you're playing through it again, you're having different outcomes, you're finding different areas, you're discovering new things. It is hundreds and hundreds of hours for $60. And now at GameStop, actually, you can get it for $45 if you can find it. I still have a really hard time finding it at any GameStop, any gaming store, period. But if you can find a used copy, they're there for about $45-ish at GameStop. But that's the kind of gaming that I'm ready for. I'm ready for that stuff. And I'd love to bring it back. I got kids. I want them to enjoy it how I did. You know, so I'm saving up some of the old consoles. I'm saving up some of the old games. I still got a Game Boy SP, and I'll probably be buying a 360 here eventually as well. But yeah, the state of gaming is just not that great, and it's continuing to just flush down the toilet. And it's time for us to act on it, folks. It's time to not settle and vote with your money. You know, wait for the reviews to come out like you did with Jedi Survivor, and don't accept the trash, especially when it's coming from a AAA studio and they've had years to make it. So anyway, that's all I got for you today, folks. And man, I hope you guys are doing well. Hang in there. You know, it's actually, no, it's Saturday now, isn't it? Woohoo! You guys made it. Congratulations. It's another week. But yeah, if you're still working on the weekend, hey, I'm right there with you. I got to go to work tonight. But yeah, hang in there. Make sure to take some time for rest for yourself. Do something fun. Spend time with people too, please. Invest in relationship. It's so much more rewarding. And do something nice for somebody. You know, the world definitely needs more of that. So with that, folks, I'll see you on the next one.